Now that some in the corporate media grudgingly admit that Hunter Biden's laptop isn't Russian disinformation, and since Republicans are a couple of short months from control of the House, we thought it was time to revisit Biden corruption again. And you're not going to be let down with the results. First, we would like to thank Miranda Devine for her continued work covering Hunter Biden's laptop from hell, as well as for sponsoring this poll. Since it's sponsored, the story and crosstab results aren't behind a paywall, so go get them so you can follow along. Republicans in Congress recently announced that they would investigate Hunter Biden's overseas business deals. Do you approve or disapprove of this investigation? 62% of voters approve, a strong majority, and 42% of them strongly approve. Only 23% strongly disapprove. Voters under 40 and black voters are least likely to approve strongly, but still, a majority of voters by gender, age, and race all approve of the investigation. But who doesn't approve? Democrats. By party, 86% of Republicans approve, as well as 63% of independents, but only 37% of Democrats. That's still a strikingly high number, however, and only 40% of Democrats strongly disapprove of the investigation. This question is really breaking some major news here. As Republicans spin up investigations in the House, you're most likely going to hear from the press about how this is current year, and voters don't want time wasted on fishing expeditions. But 62% of all voters actually approve of these investigations, and that's with some pretty meager coverage of the evidence to date. How likely is it that Joe Biden was consulted about and perhaps profited from his son Hunter's overseas business deals, including at least one involving a company in mainland China? 61% say it's likely, including 44% who say very likely. These numbers are just shocking. Now, we've asked this before, and the numbers are pretty much unchanged. 3 points less voters say it's very likely, but 2 points more say somewhat likely than the last time we asked in August. And here are the latest party demographics. 86% of Republicans say it's likely, including 72% who say it's very likely. That is astronomically high. 59% of independents say it's likely, including 42% who say very likely, and only 31% say it isn't likely. And even 38% of Democrats think it's likely, but 56% say it isn't, despite some undeniably compelling evidence. Now, let's take a moment here to analyze. Almost 40% of Democrats think that it's likely that the sitting president, whom the vast majority of them voted for, knew he was personally profiting from businesses in communist China, and subsequently may have lied about it. And the vast majority of Democrats would still vote for Biden if the election in 2024 were held today. Also, try to imagine, as the split Congress and Senate convene in January, how dissonant the calls for bipartisanship will be when 86% of the GOP voter base thinks these things of the Democrat president. 71% of voters say they're following Hunter Biden news closely, and that's up 4 points from the summer. Much fewer people, in fact only 8%, are no longer not at all following the story. That's down from 13%. But here's a chart showing the total change by party, and it has very bad news in here for Biden and the Democrats. As I said, we've asked these questions before, and the results are pretty much identical to what they were in August. In fact, the overall result of each question may be 1 or 2 points in Biden's favor. But check this out. 1% more Democrats are overall closely following news of Hunter Biden, and 2% more Republicans are. But the news is being followed closely by 8% more independents since just August. Likewise, Republicans and Democrats are just as likely as in August to say they are not following news, at least somewhat closely. But among independents, 7% less are not following Hunter Biden news. That's an incredible change in just 3 months, meaning that even though the news has seemingly reached saturation for Republicans and isn't breaking through more for Democrats, it clearly is among independents. One final point. Here's who's following Hunter Biden news broken down by job approval of Biden. Predictably, people who don't have a strong opinion either way of Biden are least likely to be following the Hunter Biden news closely. And among those who strongly disapprove of Biden, 90% are at least somewhat closely following the topic, 90%. But check this out. Among Biden's strongest supporters, 58% are at least somewhat closely following Hunter Biden news, and 26% of them very closely. I was really surprised by this result. What do you think it means for Biden? If you have a take, post it in the comments. And once again, thank you, Miranda Devine, for sponsoring this poll. For more information on Hunter Biden's laptop, check out her book, Laptop from Hell, with a link in the description. This is a topic you're not going to see other pollsters covering. So if you liked the video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more inconvenient public opinion news. Thank you.